if this found you, it's because you're ready to shift. You're ready to change the way that you perceive your reality. You're ready to step it up and raise your vibration. And truly, a lot of this starts with the simple act of gratitude. And I know it may be too simple or seems too good to be true, but I want to talk to you today about how really gratitude has really shaped my life and has brought in so much abundance in many different capacities, and how it really has made me change the way I think about our reality and the way I kind of carry out my thought process, and when I do think about what I want in regards to manifesting. So I really want you to think about, what is something that you have been waiting for? What is it that you have been trying to manifest into your life, and maybe it just hasn't really shown up yet, or really hasn't manifested the way that you wanted it to. And I really want you to flip it and bring more gratitude into your life. I can share many examples of how, when I shifted my perspective and shifted my mindset of how I viewed manifestation, it really brought in more and more of what I wanted. And so, a good story that kind of gets brought up for me is that I have always found ways to make ends meet. I am not somebody who has been fortunate enough to grow up in a household to where I was being fed with the silver spoon. And I think that that's the story for many people. And I came from parents who were drug addicts. So you can guess that much of the money went to drugs. Although my childhood wasn't completely terrible, it still had its moments. And the mindset that I learned from my parents is that you have to work hard. You have to grind very hard to get what you want. Okay, even though they were drug addicts, that was the mindset that they had. I had to struggle. Money wasn't something that could come easily to you, because you had to go out there and fetch it yourself. You had to seriously grind your gears and look out for nobody but yourself. And so for years, I was somebody who worked 2 to 3 jobs because I was always trying to make ends meet, but it seemed like an endless pit. And in this endless pit, I was always financially unstable. I don't know where the money went. It seemed like when I tried to manifest money, more problems would kind of come along in my life. Okay. And I looked at it as such a pain. I was pissed. I was like, this is ridiculous. I was seething. You know what I mean? Like, I was get angry. Like, when one thing would happen, like a car repair would come up, it would like send my account into the negative for the next few months, because I would try to catch up. And, I never really looked at life through a gratitude kind of mindset, because I was grinding out there. I was trying to make ends meet. I didn't understand how there were other people in the world and in the United States that just had money come to flow to them. They were lucky, I guess. They came from old money. They, just had luck happen to them, and were able to make it big on their own. And I just didn't have the correct mindset. So then a few years down the road, I did end up coming into money. But you see, I didn't have still the correct mindset, okay? And so even though I was making a lot of money, I was still living paycheck to paycheck. Interesting, right? And you may say, well, maybe your just priorities were out of whack. Not Actually, I still live the same way as I have for many years, okay? So it wasn't that. It was like I opened up like this like money pit vortex in my life where unexpected costs would come up all the time. I had to pay for this, I had to pay for that. You know what I mean? Like it was just like never ending cycle. And but what was really interesting in a lot of this, when like I would be like in my lowest of lows, that's when I started to become grateful. Okay? When it was like the world around me kind of began to it was in shambles. Like I was like, I don't know, rent's like 10 days past due, like I hope they don't evict me, you know, a type of deal. And it was in those really low points for me that I was able to kind of sit with myself and say, you know, God, spirit, higher self, like somebody, hear me, you know? I Please bring me something into my life, right? Bring me able to pay my bills. And that would always come through. But see, the problem was is just like when I had a lot of money, I still wasn't grateful. When the money would come, I'd be like, great, pay my rent. Great. Pay this car problem. Great. Like that money should come to me. Yeah, that's right. You know, like I was like had the complete like mindset of somebody that like shouldn't have money, you know? And so a lot of people have that mindset though, which is really interesting. And up until very recently, I began to become very grateful for my relationship with money. And this can go for anything in your life. I just think that a lot of us deal with money and they have a negative mindset with it. And so this is a good example, but you can use this for like relationships, housing, your cars, you know, whatever it is that's applicable in your life circumstance. Okay. So now I'm at the point where it's like, okay, I can put on a coat, right? And you like reach into the pocket and I pull out like $5. And I'm always like, thank you so much. I'm so grateful for this $5. Or you're walking down the street and you see a nickel on the ground and you pick up the nickel and you just say, wow, I'm so grateful for this nickel. And what's really interesting is that the more you do that, the more your mindset starts to change in regards to reality, in regards to what's kind of going on. And you're able to say, like, okay, well, you're telling the universe, I like that, right? You're telling the universe to bring more of that into your life. And when I started doing that, more of it came into my life. Now, I still will have my doubts and I'll still like every once in a while you'll catch me slip up. And that I think is part of living in a real reality, right? Because when we see gratitude, a lot of times we're like, you know, yeah, I'm grateful, yay. You know what I mean? Like sarcastic, right? Or like, yay, I'm like, you know, it's not that we're promoting toxic positivity because that's not what I'm doing here. I'm providing real life advice that you can start implementing and bringing in so that you can create the reality that you want. Okay. And because I'm a real life person, I'm in the trenches, I've been there. And so I know what it can be like. And so when we start to really feel gratitude, and it's more than just like, I feel grateful. Yay, a nickel. No, it's a feeling that you can really only feel within your heart, a feeling that is so deep at a soul level. Okay. That's what I'm talking about when I'm talking about feeling grateful. And so if that's you sitting there with the word, hearing the word grateful and sitting in a meditative state until you understand what that feels like, then that's for you. Another really great thing that you can do is that you can uh journal about it. And I invite you to do that. I would like you to journal down 3 things that you are grateful for every single day. And when you start to do that, you will see that the feeling of gratefulness starts to show up, and you're starting to basically understand what it is to be truly grateful. Because in this reality right now, it's very easy to get stuck in the lower vibrational lower vibrational emotions and really be stuck in a place where, you know what, I don't want to be grateful. Like, life should happen for me. I should get it. And humanity can't really function like that anymore. We can't really function as a person that's going to be selfish and self-centered and really not think that life should be handed to them. That's number one, that's going to keep you in victim mentality. Number two, that could create some maybe even narcissistic tendencies out there and keep you in a place where it's very low vibrational. How can you exist in a place like that? It's going to feel very heavy, very dark, where, when you start to express feelings like gratitude, you can then start to raise your vibration and really come to a place where you feel really good. And you're like, okay, now I understand that this is the greater good of all, right? And when you start coming and having abundance shine upon you, you can then give that out to other people, right? You can start giving other people ways of becoming more abundant. You can share if money, you can share knowledge, you can share whatever it is that kind of comes in, and treat it that way. And then even more will start to flow in because you chose to be that way. And so when we learn to kind of shift the perspective, and even though we're living in this reality where it's very real, like, it's hard right now. I don't know how I'm going to make, my car payment. I don't know how I'm going to make my phone bill, my rent. Like, it's hard. But when we start to shift that perspective, that's what I'm saying, and really come into a place of complete and utter gratitude, really feeling it, feeling the gratitude and feeling that presence that's within us, we can then shift, and everything around us is going to begin to change. And so really know that you are already abundant. You already have within you that which you wish to reflect out. You just need to shift. You need to really shift the mindset and come back into presence. And when you do that, it really will shift for you. I promise you, like, I've been there myself. I've been truly in the trenches. I know what it's like. And it's funny. It's like, if I was only grateful sooner. But in all reality, it's truly because, like, we were meant to learn those lessons, maybe. Because if everything was always handed to me, would I have learned to ever truly be grateful? Would I have learned to spread that knowledge and give it to other people about being grateful? And I don't know. I mean, it's hard to say, but I'm beginning to empower myself and begin to shift into a person that is fully embodied with who we truly are meant to be as these new humans on new earth. Things are shifting right now, and we need to understand that while we are waking up and becoming on this path, we need to move and shift all these different traumas, patterns, stories, ego, leave that all behind and move into these higher states of consciousness. Because when we move into these higher states of consciousness, that's when the world will change. That's when everything will start to make sense. And you'll see that you are no longer a victim, but you are an empowered badass on your journey. And that, my friends, is really, truly powerful. So start with shifting your perspective to becoming more grateful, and watch how your world changes. If you found this video to be helpful, like the video, subscribe if you're new, and I will see you in the next one, my friends.